I mean, all the problems with this country, it's not the economy, it's not, problems with, our heritage, it's not problems with immigration, it's not problems with the NHS. What the problem is really is that we don't have enough halal meat in the countryside, which means it's not inclusive for people coming from minority, religious and ethnic groups. Apparently, that is genuinely what the University of Leicester's Centre for Hate Studies thought. They produced a report this week on the issue of rural racism. Apparently, the British countryside, outrageously in an overwhelmingly white country, is overwhelmingly white and needs more halal food. You couldn't make this stuff up, except of course they did make it up because these organisations, these academics are utterly bonkers. Let's talk about this with the Countryside Alliance's David Bean, who joins us. A very good afternoon to you in your no doubt overwhelmingly white, non-inclusive part of the world.
Well, I'm in London, so perhaps a little bit more inclusive than it might otherwise be. But thank you, Julia. Good afternoon.
I mean, it is utterly bonkers. We've had so many reports in recent years saying nonsense things like, black people can't go to the countryside and it's too white. We're not encouraging people. As if, what do you need to encourage people to go on a walk in the countryside? But this report suggests that people aren't from certain ethnic and religious backgrounds don't feel welcome in the countryside because it's full of white people and they can't get halal and indeed kosher food. Is that the case?
Well, you're right, Julia, of course, that this story crops up every roughly 18 months or so, every time an activist group, or as in this case, a group of academics, publish something to this effect. And it's always very much the same sorts of points that are being made. And I mean, really our response hasn't changed through the years, which is that while we recognize that racism is a problem in the United Kingdom, and certainly racism should always be confronted whenever it crops up, the idea that there's something special about rural areas, that they deserve to be singled out and highlighted as being particularly racist, just is not supported by any of the available evidence.
No, but the argument is that they're racist simply by being majority white, but the majority of this country is white, and in fact, living in a city like London, where huge swathes of the population are not white-skinned, and huge numbers of the population are actually not just 2 or 3 generations in migrant, but are actually recent migrant people who were born abroad. You perhaps might forget that the country is 88% white, something like that. You would expect the countryside to be more likely to be white, but I don't know why, for instance, Morris dancers and antique shops should be considered in some way to be a difficulty for people of a particular background.
No, indeed. And of course, there are good reasons why the countryside tends to have a higher proportion of white people than urban centres. Typically, if you immigrate into the United Kingdom, then you're going to be looking for a couple of things in particular. First of all, you're going to be looking for a place where you can most easily find work that you're suited to. Yeah. Well, that's going to be in a city. Yeah. Also, you might very well be looking for people who come from the same sort of background as you do. Again, you're likely to be in a city.
But also, I'm not sure why anybody who, for instance, was an immigrant to this country as opposed to born here, either group would be surprised to discover that there are areas of the country where the majority population are white, and why that would be an issue. I wouldn't go, for instance, to India and feel like, this isn't welcoming, because these people don't look like me because they're not white, or think that when I used to live in the Caribbean, or when I've lived in other parts of the world. I mean, I think it's a really strange thing for people to be concerned about. But of course, I mean, this report is because how can we make the countryside more inclusive? What they mean by that is how can we make the countryside more like our cities? But don't people go to the countryside for it not to be like our cities?
Well, I mean, certainly that's a distinct possibility. Now, I certainly don't think that it is a bad idea to be encouraging people in the countryside to be welcoming. Obviously, there's an economic imperative there in terms of getting people to visit rural businesses and such. But for me, the focus shouldn't be on race. It should be more on educating the population at large about the countryside. We need more education. Yeah. For children about the realities of rural life.
Yeah, and where your food comes from. Yeah, exactly. Rather than this, again, this is a bunch of academics living in a city spouting abject nonsense as per usual. David Bean, great to have you join us all very briefly from the Countryside Alliance. Tom Slater, I mean, you'd fit in the countryside, very white.
Apart from the fact I don't know what I'm doing in the countryside.
No, exactly.
I'd be as clueless.
I bet you don't even own a pair of wellies.
Of course not. What do you do with something like
but these reports, they come out as David
every year, yeah.
It is. But these people are mad. I keep saying this on the but they're just What are they talking about?
I think they set eyes on something. It could be the countryside, it could be children's cereal box character, and they just work out how it's racist.
There are too many orange characters on them. It's not inclusive for green characters.
It makes a lot more sense when you realise they've just started with the conclusion and worked backwards. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But also that they are just not very clever. I think that's the main thing. There are an awful lot of people called academics now, just not very clever. Anyway.